Ron, thank you so much for hopping on today. I was so excited to do this interview so that we can discuss you for National Entrepreneurs Day, November 15th. I thought it was perfect timing given where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. So, do you want to tell me about your start in the additive manufacturing space? What was your journey like in starting Protocam?
I can do that, Autumn. We actually started back in 1993. Ray, Barry, and myself, we both worked at Dresser Rand at their pump division in Allentown here. They decided to locate that division down to Virginia, and the two of us chose not to go. So then we said, okay, now what do we do, right? We both had desire to run our own business, so we did some brainstorming, and we came up with a whole bunch of ideas. And we actually settled on opening up a rapid prototyping service bureau. That's the original name of what we used to, or what we do now, actually. I had experience in this area because I would actually subcontract that service for Dresser. And I knew that service was needed because there wasn't many service providers around. So once we decided on that, we worked with our local small business administration at Lehigh University to develop a business plan. We found a vacant facility in Northampton. We purchased our first SLA machine from the sales office for 3D Systems down in Philadelphia, moved it up here, and away we go. Ray actually started working in the business full-time in sales. And because we couldn't support two people full-time, I actually relocated to the Dresser facility in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I actually worked there days, and then I worked Protocam second shift. And so, like I said, Ray did the sales during daytime. I come in the second shift, and I would do the CAD work and also to operate the SLA machine. We did that for the first year. And then it came that Protocam needed my service in the business, and we could afford two people. So I actually quit Dresser and went to work full-time for Protocam, which is about 1995 at that point. We stayed in that facility for 20 years. We grew it. We kept adding machines and ended up using every corner of that facility. And then in 2013, we had a fire that destroyed everything. And at that point, we kind of figured out what we want to do. So we moved our business temporarily into Ray's barn and the basement of his house. And we stayed there for 6 months. And we were actually utilizing our competitors to support our services. And during that time period, we actually found the facility we're in now today, which is just outside of Fogelsville, renovated the building and purchased all new equipment. And one thing I've always said was I call that my most painful blessing I've ever had. The fire actually forced us to move out of a facility that we'd outgrown and painfully outgrown and relocate to a very nice building that better suits us. And we have room for growth and supports our growth plans.
Wow, Ron, that's quite a story there. I mean, going through what you went through in 2013, that's unimaginable. That kind of stress and having everything swept away and almost starting again. And now look, you're here and Protocam has been thriving. It's a whole new journey. When you were, getting started, because, additive was a newer industry, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced at that time?
Well, I can think of two main challenges. First of all, this technology only developed in 1987 by Chuck Hall and 3D Systems. And so the first thing we do was educate our potential customers that they could actually utilize this technology, because most people hadn't even heard of this technology. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing, being a startup, we had to convince them that we could deliver the services we were selling.
Yeah. Yep, that sounds about right. And, and everybody, when it's new technology, there's always that level of hesitancy and trust, moving over from the way we've always done things. And here we are. So, you guys are moving along here, overcoming these challenges. What was the way that you guys started to build your customer base?
Well, we started out by advertising in the Thomas Register. Back then, there were these big green books that filled the entire bookcase, and that's what everybody had. And in those books were pretty much every industrial service you could imagine. And so we advertised there. Then we actually built out a very simple website. And quite honestly, back then, the internet was just being established.
Right.
I actually recall Ray's son, who is an IT guy going to school at Lehigh. He actually just suggested we do a website. I go like, what the heck is that? You know? And I trusted Ethan, and I said, well, let's go for it.
Uh-huh.
And so we were one of the first in the industry to actually have a website on the internet.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I remember Windows 91, dial up. My mom saying, get off the internet because I have to get on the phone. It's a whole other game. That's so cool. And I remember
Yeah,
Bob also mentioning about those books. And he said that was the way everybody did it,
it was.
advertising in the books.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Well, knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently when you were first starting?
Well, I wish we located into a better facility. We located to an old farm market that obviously is what we could afford at the
Mhm.
point, but you know the problem is we grew into that building and we utilized every square foot we could, and once you get established like that, it's very difficult to move. So you're better off if you can afford it going into a facility that you can grow into versus grow out of.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I feel like it's something you don't think of at the time. You're like, "Oh, I just need to get started. Where can we go?" And now, your son has been working with you guys, Jeremy, and, I know he's always been involved since he's a kid, but tell me about that experience. How do you like working with your son?
Well, I enjoy working with Jeremy. Actually, he was 10 years old when we started the business, and because he has a good mechanical ability, I mean, he was working, in the business since day one. He's learned every process because he's grown up in the business. And then he went to school at Penn State and graduated from there. And then after he graduated from Penn State, I told him, look, I said, you really should work outside the business so you can learn about what happens in a business and learn all the aspects of a business that you may not get working for your dad. So
Mhm.
he actually went to work for Lutron, worked there for I think 5 or 6 years.
Nice.
And then when Ray retired in 2013, we brought Jeremy on board full time. And
Yeah.
the funny part is he finally got paid for his services because, you know, well, like myself, I grew up on a farm and we never got paid to do the farm work. And well,
Yep.
guess what? Jeremy worked here for all those years and didn't get paid either. So it's like grow up on a family farm. Now Jeremy is actually our manufacturing manager. He runs the shop and he also sets up all the ad machines in the shop and runs the machines. And unfortunately, because he lives so close by, he comes in nights and weekends and changes the machines. And quite honestly, I'm very proud of this. But he's really become a very valuable resource to the business.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool to see father-son dynamic and that, what seemed to occur naturally in you, with engineering and mechanics seemed to be the same for your son. I think that's really cool. And, he got to see such a nice role model growing up, that's and establish that work ethic and it will take him far, and now, Protocam has been acquired and you guys are entering this new journey. Tell me about what is next for you in your future. What are your plans?
Well, this is an exciting time. I've been working, all my life for this day.
Yep.
And I have a contract to be here until the end of May. And then at that point, I plan to retire. And I live on some acreage. So, my plan is I enjoy working on the acreage and maintaining the trees and the land, all that stuff, the fields.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, I like to travel. I really haven't traveled that much. I've
Mhm.
traveled a lot for business, but never traveled a lot for pleasure. So, uh,
Uh-huh.
with my wife retiring last year from Muhlenberg, and I mean, she still actually works here doing the accounting duties part time. But the two of us like to travel across the country or overseas or whatever, just get to see the world.
Yeah, what a sweet place in life. You've worked all the way up to this point. It's so exciting. The fruits of all that labor, it's such an awesome feeling and you're leaving a legacy, for your son and the other, staff members. Your footprint is still there. It's really cool. I think it's really awesome and so much to see in this world. I feel, my parents always talk about that. They're ready for that next step to travel and enjoy each other. So congratulations. So now that you have reached this part of your entrepreneurial journey, what would be your advice to any young entrepreneur or someone who wants to start a business?
Well, just a few things I thought of. Number one, never give up because it's not an easy journey. I'll let you know that if
Mhm.
it's not for the faint of heart. And you have to learn to knock down walls because walls appear in front of you, and sometimes people put the walls up in front of you, and so you just learn to knock them down. You have to anticipate you're going to work some long hours. This is not an 8 to 5 job, you know. And don't be afraid to ask for help. People out there are very willing to help you out, and just ask, and you'd be surprised how much help you can get just by asking. And for those that do help you, be thankful. You let them know that you really
Mhm.
appreciate their advice and their help. Don't expect anything from anybody. Expect to earn everything you need to acquire. There are no handouts in life. Sometimes life is not fair, so you got to
Mhm.
deal with it. You know, like I learned on the farm, you need a strong work ethic to survive because, like I said, it's not the easiest thing to do. And but something that motivated me from day one. I've seen so many people out there that are successful in spite of themselves. It's like, why are
Mhm.
you doing that? You're hurting your own business. Stop.
Mhm.
And just with a little common sense and effort, you can be successful as well. That's what I would tell anybody starting up any type of a business.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Ron, for your time today. Really appreciate this. I can't wait to be able to share your message on National Entrepreneurship Day, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Autumn. I really appreciate you putting this together.